So for our next tech story, this is actually kind of a rehash of something that we've talked about before. I believe it was, maybe a month, 6 weeks ago. We talked about 3G on all the carriers in the U.S. this year is going to shut down. I believe the last one is December 31st for Verizon, but you've got Sprint and T-Mobile that are actually doing stuff in February.
That's AT&T is February,
So AT&T
and
in
Sprint,
February.
T-Mobile is March. They said March 31st, but now they're saying sometime between March and July.
So, we have talked about it before, but I don't think that we went into all the issues that are
No.
now that this stuff is really on the, literally it's like weeks away in some cases. There's a lot of issues, and like the ones that I talked about. I have a medical device that is going to stop working, and they've already arranged a way to work around it because it also has Wi-Fi, and I can use it that way. But I didn't think about like OnStar in my car stop working. Now, heaven forbid, I never want to have to use that. But if I needed it and it's not there, that I'm thinking I don't want to upgrade my car just because OnStar doesn't work. But there's something else that has to happen. So, Stephanie, why don't you just tell us about all the things that are potentially going to stop working when they turn 3G off this year?
Yeah, I wanted to bring it back because, like you said, we touched on it, but I don't think the sense of urgency was there that first time because it wasn't happening right then. But I think this is going to affect more people than we really understand, and so I wanted to make sure that we at least got the word out because I know in communities of color, this is going to affect low income communities, folks that might still be using prepaid phones and smart devices like that, and the elderly community who does use medical devices or also uses older flip phones and things like that. This is really going to affect those two communities in particular, I think, more seriously than most. So I really wanted for our listeners to understand if you have elderly people in your family that do still use flip phones or are using a medic alert bracelet or something like that, or other family members that are using cricket phones or burner phones or something like that, they're going to need to figure something out. And one of the issues that they talked about in the Washington Post article that I got a lot of this from was that older Americans especially are not that tech savvy. Right now we are still in COVID. There is still a whole panorama going around, so they're less likely to want technicians to come into the house to help them do that upgrade. They're less likely to want to leave the house to go to a Verizon or an AT&T store to get their upgrades done. So this is really going to be an issue for a lot of older people, but also alarm companies are still scrambling. In addition to the car companies and OnStar, home alarm companies are still scrambling. There was one particular kind of professional alarm society that says their members still need to upgrade 4 to 5 million devices around the country. And I don't think that is a little number that still need work. And they're actually petitioning the FCC to try to force AT&T at least to push their rollout date back from next month. So yeah, there are a lot of issues, a lot of considerations. They said cars released between 2010 and 2021 could be affected. There's a CNBC article, and hopefully we can link it in our show notes, but there's a CNBC article that talks about all of the cars that could potentially be affected by this, and it's all of the cars. So I started writing some down because I was going to read off a couple because I thought it was only going to be Hondas and Toyotas, but literally every different car manufacturer has some make and model of a vehicle that they sell that could be affected by this 3G shutdown. I actually need to call Nissan for myself because I saw a similar car on the list to mine, and I was like, ooh, does that affect me too? So yeah, this is going to be, I think, it may not be a huge deal like Y2K, but it's going to be a bigger deal than I think people think it will be.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if you guys remember back in the day, and these things are still around, there was a phone, and for whatever reason, I understand the reason, but they called it the Obama phone. You guys have heard about those,
yes,
right?
yes.
So number one, they're not Obama phones. It was actually started in the Bush administration. Yeah. So if anything, it should be the Bush phone. But anyway, the Obama phone, as everyone calls them today, many of those devices, like I said, if you got one 10 years ago, 12 years ago, good chance that it was a 3G phone.
That's right.
And if that, and if you were on that program, it's because, well, you financially probably couldn't afford to have the latest iPhone or the latest Galaxy. So yeah, if those things just all of a sudden stop working, your connectivity goes away. That is ridiculously disruptive to so many people. So I hope that, I don't want to be the one to say you need to extend this forever. Because there's always going to be that one person who's just, I'm not upgrading. They will just forego every warning that comes out. But you have to make sure that you're at least getting the critical mass of people who are using this, because no one is using old stuff because they just want to be on the old stuff. Generally, they're using the old stuff because they can't necessarily afford to get the new stuff, or they're not tech savvy enough to know that the new stuff is different than the stuff that they already have. They may think that what they have is the new stuff. So I definitely want to, and we'll continue to talk about this as these dates come up, just to make sure that people know and understand, hey, it's like, it's not like this feature is going to stop working.
Right.
You will no longer be able to make phone calls or send text messages. The thing that you do, 80% on a phone like that, you will no longer be able to do. So,
and I just want to remind people, reach out to your carrier, because a lot of carriers, at least for right now, I can't say that this is always going to be the case, but a lot of carriers are offering free upgrades or very discounted upgrades. Not just phones, like the alarm companies and, device companies and other companies like that. So reach out to whoever your cell service is through or whoever your device manufacturer is and see what you can do, but be proactive about getting this done sooner rather than later.
You want to add anything, Terrance? Are you good?
No, I agree with everything everybody else said.
Terrance is like, yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. You think about, especially with the car companies. I read that story, and it's amazing how cars, as I think if I read it correctly, 2015 and newer are still clinging on to the 3G technology, because again, it's not just a phone, it's an entire car, so trying to upgrade and space those out, it's not as simple as just going to your wireless carrier and getting a new phone. It's a little bit more complicated process,
because I just paid my car off, and I'm not buying no new car just because the 3G don't work no more. That's all.
My 3G doesn't work. Can you upgrade me to a new car for free?
Right. Can I get an upgrade to the 2021, John? For real?
Nah, son, that's not gonna work. So.
No.